That's my favorite Justin Timberlake song. Dirty Cups. dirty Cups.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
Everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Holla!
And from music video sins, Barrett Share.
Woo!
That's right. Okay, it's come time, guys. We're going to finish this Keanu Reeves thing.
I am an FBI agent.
I don't care about your crime.
I know Kung Fu.
I don't lose. I win. That's my job. That's what I do.
We've officially forgotten everything that we said on that lost episode.
Yeah, exactly. We tried to do this 2 weeks ago, I think, and then it got lost. It just got lost. Just like, I don't know, man. It was
Oceanic Flight
8:15,
whatever it was.
Yeah,
15.
So it was a tough road. It was a tough road, and we had to go and scramble, and make another podcast, and then we had to sort of. We did a composer one a few years ago. Was that what it was? It was like composers.
The one that was lost?
We lost that one, and we had to wait for another month or two before we did it.
I believe it was the one of the first Poor Bastards that we lost.
Oh, it might have been the Poor Bastard one.
But that was way back in 2016 or something.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Fuck you. I'm just saying it doesn't feel like we've been doing it that long is all. That was like an Elaine, get out of here.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
we've only, that's only... I feel like I'm telling a woman after prematurely ejaculating. It's only happened twice.
Jesus.
Okay.
That never happens to me.
Exactly.
I don't get that joke because I don't even know what premature.
I've done this over
ejaculation is.
350 times, and only twice has that happened.
Barrett, how many times in your life do you think you've prematurely?
At least
How
twice.
many of those times did you have pants on?
At the psychologist's office.
Well,
Anyway, we tanked immediately, kids.
That's true. But we're going to finish up the Keanu Reeves filmography. We left off at 1999's The Matrix in the last episode, so we're ready to get into the 2000s, where his first movie in the 2000s was The Replacements.
yay!
Huzzah! This is about a bunch of players, like the real players in the NFL are on strike, and then there's scab players that come in.
Scabs.
That's right. Scab players.
They're
that come
replacement players. It's like when the NFL refs struck. What was it? 2012.
I
and they
believe
had
it's
those replacement
refs.
And I guess they're considered scabs, but they weren't employees that crossed. Right? They were just other refs, like college refs, that went.
I'm pretty sure union people on strike consider anybody that takes their job a scab.
Yes, that's true. That is exactly true. That you're not supposed to cross for any reason, even if you aren't part of that original team. You're not supposed to. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Replacements was based on the 1987 NFL player strike. In which Doug Williams, who was who's the most famous replacement player of all time, maybe, went on to win the Super Bowl for the Washington Redskins at the time. They're now, of course, the Washington football team.
Yeah, and that was fun to watch the other day.
Yeah,
that's better. It's still better.
Oh,
yeah.
Hell yeah, it is.
Still
Hell
better.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But The Replacements has Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman, and I don't remember too much about this movie. I know there's some fans of it. Barrett's one of them.
I love it. They've got hot stripper cheerleaders, and they got crusty old Brits kicking the ball with cigarettes hanging out of their mouths, and they got crusty Gene Hackman being all crusty.
Is everybody crusty? Is John Favreau crusty?
John Favreau is crusty. This movie is fun. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's like the anti, not Whole Nine Yards, the Oliver Stone
Longest
one.
Yard?
No,
Any Given Sunday.
Any Given Sunday. It's the polar opposite of that. It's just a lot of fun. It was directed by Howard Deutsch, by the way.
Yep.
Keanu is playing Johnny Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Shane Falco is a totally different person than Johnny Utah.
Yeah,
you're
I
right.
mean, the only
not an
difference is
FBI
that he's not
agent.
an FBI agent. Yes. I mean, Shane Falco would be an FBI agent if they asked him.
Sure,
I'm
sure.
sure.
I mean,
I'm sure he would.
He
they
would-
asked him to play football, and he does that.
Right. It's like, hey man, sometimes robberies need to be solved, and we need a football player to help us out with that shit.
That's right. That's right. Can you
but
surf?
Yeah, the only thing I remember of the replacements is that I made a bad splice in it, and the movie went out of frame during our sneak preview of it, and I was very upset. I know, I hated it. It was on a reel change that sometimes reel changes back then they would make it the hardest thing possible. Like, why would you make this the reel change? Like sometimes there's very well defined lines that you can cut on, but this one, like, everything was just sort of blended together, and it was a camera movement where you could see the top of a wall. So the top of the wall and the line sort of like blended in together, and you didn't know where the line was. And so, like, I was like, I don't know, I think it's here. And then, yeah, it was not the right one at all.
See, I'll blame the movie for that one. I saw this one time, and my only memory is that I thought it was dumb, and that one girl he falls in love with was really hot.
Yeah, Brooke Langton, the swingers girl, Brooke Langton.
Yeah, she was hot in Swingers, and she was hot in this movie. And
Jon Favreau tried to call her 100 times.
Yeah.
And here he is in the same movie with her again.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where they met, or was that after? This is after that.
Yeah, it was
So maybe that was where they met, and this is not.
maybe.
You posed a quandary there.
Yeah. The next movie in 2000 is The Watcher.
I did not see it.
Yeah, I did, but I don't remember too much about it at all.
This is pretty
a bad
funny,
guy?
actually. He is yeah. So it's Keanu and James Spader. Now, James Spader has not necessarily been the bad guy to this point in his career, but he's been the asshole most of the time in this, and Less Than Zero and Sex, Lies, and Videotape and things like that.
Pretty much everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he really a bad guy in Sex, Lies, and Videotape?
He was, like I said, he was like the pretentious asshole. Kind of.
Yeah.
And no, he wasn't the bad guy. He wasn't the bad guy really in Less Than Zero. Everybody was a bad guy in that movie.
Yeah.
But he's a cop, an LA cop that was chasing a serial killer that was Keanu Reeves. And man, this is ham-handed. It's an enjoyable watch, but like Keanu plays this guy that's obsessed with Jimmy Spade because he follows him to Chicago after he retires and starts playing a game where he kills people and stuff like that. And he's trying to be like almost like a Hannibal Lecter type of dude, and it don't work.
I haven't seen it since it came out, but I don't remember liking it too much. And it's got what, a 5.3 on the IMDb.
All right.
So, but he rounds out the year with a great one. It's The Gift. Sam Raimi's The Gift. This movie is great. He's good in it too. He's playing a bad guy in this. Well, he's playing a bad guy in this, but it's not. We're trying to not spoil it.
He is an asshole.
He's a total dick in this movie. And we have a fortune teller, Kate Blanchett is the medium in this, who seems to have a little bit of a talent doing it, but there's only a few people in the town who come to her for advice. Hilary Swank is Keanu Reeves' wife in this. She's asking her for advice because he is an abusive asshole. and Giovanni Ribisi is also in this, and he also has his issues. It's almost like she's their therapist more than fortune teller a lot of times in this. But there's another side story where Greg Kinnear and Katie Holmes are dating. They're going to be married. And on the night of a party, Cate Blanchett actually walks into a restroom and sees Katie Holmes cheating on Greg Kinnear with Gary Cole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on that very night, Katie Holmes disappears. And then she starts getting premonitions when the cop played by J.K. Simmons comes over to her house and says, "You know what? We've done all the investigative work we can. I guess it's been like a week. You need your help because Greg Kinnear's like, I really want to find
we're out of ideas."
Yeah, we're out of ideas. So we need a medium right now. We need a medium stat. And you know, the last time we were talking about this movie, Barrett, you were talking about how when she has that vision, she has the vision of that fiddler guy, and it's like this weird edited thing where they've taken frames out of it and everything, and that really just hair raising tune. I'm
getting chills right now thinking about it. Seriously, it's so herky, and it's very Sam Raimi. It's very Sam Raimi. It's this guy's playing this nice lugubrious kind of melody,
lugubrious,
and she looks, and there's a close up, and it's that thing, and it's unsettling. It's such a weird thing to be unsettled, but that's the eye that you get from a pro like Sam Raimi, where he'll just make things a little bit disturbing.
And her premonition leads to this river or whatever that's just so happens to be where Keanu Reeves and Hilary Swank live, where they find Katie Holmes' body. And so, of course, Keanu Reeves is immediately considered prime suspect because he's an asshole and he may have known the victim. That movie
don't ever know a victim if you can avoid it.
I try all the time. Right.
Yeah, you.
The Gift is really, really, really good. If you haven't ever seen that, I would highly recommend.
And as a little quick end note, Keanu gets a lot of flack for his not great accents in some of the period pieces he's done, but his angry Southern drawly kind of thing in this movie works perfectly.
It is absolutely perfect. It's one of his best roles, I think. And it's weird because this is a movie that came out right after The Matrix, a year after The Matrix, and he's not the main dude in this. He's a supporting character in this. On to 2001, Sweet November. He and Charlize Theron reunite after Devil's Advocate magic.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I did ever see this movie though. It's a romance.
I didn't, but I guarantee you she dies, right? That's the whole deal.
She's dying. It's like Love and Other Drugs. It's where she's got the cancer or something.
Yeah.
And she's gonna date Keanu for a month because he's like a highfalutin business attorney or something like that. And she's like, I'll give you November and you can hit that. But then after November, the gates are closed.
Right.
And he's like, okay.
It'll be like that chastity belt in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah. And then in December, so she says, fly away. And he doesn't want to fly away. He's in love with her. So they want to keep doing more, but I don't know. She probably dies. I don't know. I forget.
She dies. I'm sure she dies. Yeah. It's one of those don't love me because I'm going to die and therefore I don't deserve any happiness. And you can get that in any Lifetime movie.
That's very true. And then also in 2001 he did Hardball, where he plays he's like a guy who's got gambling debts or something like that, and one of his buddies is like, hey, help me with these inner city kids and form a baseball team. And it's like a team from Cabrini Green in Chicago. And so he does it. And of course, just like every baseball coach movie, he goes in going, well, this isn't going to be a big deal. My friend's going to help me out with this. And then his friend just like, hey, you take care of it. Bye. He's gone. and and he would be forgiven by his inner circle if he just left himself. But he ends up, because he does need this money, he ends up teaching the kids baseball and everything. And then there's a lot of things he doesn't understand about the neighborhood in which they live in, and the all these different. It's one of these things where he's learning about like there's the one scene in that movie where a kid's like, could you take me home? And it's like 6:00 or something like that. And he's like, no, I've got to go somewhere. I got to go cross town and do all this. And this kid has to go home by himself. And you see him, he's got to walk through the most dangerous neighborhood there is. That's like, it's like, it's the, like everywhere there's like drug dealers and people, this, and, they had to tell him, like, look, you can't let a kid like that wander around at night in these bad neighborhoods. And, so he learns all that, and he becomes like, he teaches them good fundamental baseball techniques and things like that.
Okay, here's 2 extra reasons to watch this movie. This movie is perfectly average. You're not going to love it. You're not going to hate it. I've seen it like 3 times. But baby Michael B. Jordan is one of the kids on his team. And wow. He doesn't have a ton of screen time, but I always love seeing a famous, excellent actor in a role I didn't know they were in when I originally saw the movie. And then D.B. Sweeney, you might remember him from the ice skating movie with the
Cutting Edge.
Yeah, was that Moira Kelly?
Moira Kelly, yeah.
Yeah. He's the asshole coach of the other team that has all the money and funding and the best bats, and he's got a big cheek full of chaw the whole game, or the whole game.
That's the thing, it's not just apples, by the way, guys. It's a lot of chewable items that people put in their mouths, especially in sports. Watch Friday Night Lights. The quote unquote evil team. By the way, not evil at all. They're just
the other team.
They're just the other team, but they make them evil. Like, this is the other. You need to be scared of them. That guy, all the way through, it makes you hate him because he's got a fucking lollipop in his mouth the entire fucking game. Yeah, Hardball was pretty good. I actually wasn't expecting much out of it, but I really actually liked that movie. In 2003, now we start with the Animatrix, and that's only because the short came on before Dreamcatcher that year. And as I've discussed many times, people came out of the theater going, what's this cartoon? I came here for Morgan Freeman and Dreamcatchers. And then you had to tell them, well, if you were to have any bit of like I don't know, if you noticed anything about the poster or the newspaper or anything like that, they told you that there was going to be a short before this movie. Anyway, the Animatrix is one of how many shorts?
Well, the collection is all called the Animatrix, and I think they actually varied which short was on your print based on where you happen to be in the country, because the whole thing is like an hour, maybe 50 minutes if you put it all together. I love it. I was in the throes of everything Matrix. I was playing the video game. I was trying to find pirated copies of Reloaded before it hit the theater. I wanted everything Matrix in my veins. And they basically just got wildly different animation styles from different people to tell stories that don't really impact the main trilogy, but are in the world of the Matrix. And there's one with these 2 hyper armored samurai guys on a roof. It's really fucking rad. And the only one that ties in closely is I think it's called The Kid, where the skateboarding kid gets saved by Neo. And then I think the speculation is that in Revolutions, there's a kid, the kid who picks up the armored suit after the general dies, puts it on. That's supposed to be the kid from this short. I have not seen any of the Animatrix in years, probably since I bought the DVD. But I remember loving them.
The one that we had on our Dreamcatcher was one where it was like it was a man and a woman in a dojo, and they were like slicing articles of clothing off of each other.
Oh, yeah,
all the
that was
way
good.
through it. Yeah.
Sexy sword fighting. Yeah.
I tell you what, Dreamcatcher was a big piece of shit.
Hey, I don't want you to disparage Donnie Wahlberg and that guy from The Wire.
That's right. But this was all prelude to what was a huge Matrix year, the two highly anticipated sequels. The Matrix Reloaded came out in the summer, and the Matrix Revolutions came out in November of that year. So we posed the question when we first went through this, how do these hold up now? Because when I first watched both of these, when I watched the Thursday night screening to make sure the print was okay and everything, I came out and I remember there were a bunch of other people who were at the theater who were watching the movie that same night, because we had multiple prints of it. And I came out and I turned to them and I said, "That kicked ass," and then walked off.
For both of them, or just for Reloaded?
Reloaded for sure. Revolutions, I don't think so, because Revolutions, by the time Revolutions comes around, you're like, oh man, I don't know about that Reloaded that I just watched.
Right.
Because even though I was like, that kicked ass, it was one of those like Phantom Menace things where you watch Phantom Menace and you're like, but it's Star Wars, it has to be good. And so Reloaded was like that for me. And I was like, yeah, that was good. And then about time November rolls around, you're like, man, I don't know if I like Reloaded anymore. But anyway, Reloaded and Revolutions have garnered a huge following, obviously, since then. I wouldn't say that those movies were hated. It's just the people who hated it were the most vocal about it, right?
Yeah, I think it was generally. I think it's generally considered that they reached too far, and could have stuck to a more linear story. The architect, and all the stuff in Zion with the squiddies attacking, stuff. People weren't as interested in that. They want to see the Matrix, man.
Yeah. It got boring. It got boring at the end of Revolutions, where it was like, oh, there's more of them. They keep coming. They mobilize into a bigger squiddy thing. Oh, they can't kill them with bullets. Okay.
Yeah. The other thing is, and I think Reloaded's DVD came out before Revolutions hit theaters. I think that was part of I might be wrong, but I think that's part of the problem, is that that burly brawl with 100 Agent Smiths versus Neo looks fine on the big screen, man. I mean, there were maybe one or two moments your subconscious went, oh, I wonder if that's CGI, but that was it. Then you get it home and you put it on your TV and it's a DVD and you're like, God, he's more rubber in this than he is real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I watch that scene, all I see is missed potential. Like if they had waited, not that they knew, but if they'd waited 5 more years, maybe the technology would be there to make it look more seamless. But it pulls me out. I can't deny that. It's frustrating to me that the first movie ends with him flying off, saying he's going to unplug everybody, and the second movie opens with him. There's new agents, and he goes, upgrades. Ah, interesting. And then he fights with them as though they're his equal for several minutes, instead of just diving inside them and exploding them like he did the agents in the first movie.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people were confused by that. It felt like a step back. And again, this is probably because they reached too far. Once you get into the Merovingian and his wife, I'm just like rolling my eyes, even as a massive fan. I will say that the car chase sequence that they built a set for, which is not the greatest chase in history, is incredible. It lasts, it lasts maybe 35 minutes, that whole sequence, and it's all great. And Neo fighting the Merovingians dudes in the double stairway mansion room is a fantastic scene. It's just that those fantastic parts have to be added to the not fantastic parts, and the whole you come up with is not great, not as bad as we thought.
Are you talking about Reloaded itself?
Yes, for the most part, but both of them. I don't think they're as good as the first one, but I don't think they're as bad as we thought a year after we saw them.
I agree. I think Reloaded from start to finish, like the Merovingian stuff overall, I think is great. Yes, there are huge set pieces like the chase, but like all the Ghost Twins stuff is very cool to me.
Yes, I agree.
The Keymaster stuff is very cool to me. I enjoy the architect scene as preposterous as it is. And you're absolutely right. A computer program architect machine would totally talk like that, like an asshole.
Yeah.
But like it started
the lugubriousness.
Yes. Not that I have any experience with that at all. But like it spends a lot more time in the Matrix, except for the dance orgy, than the Revolutions. And I think that's what appeals to me. I think it's slicker. It moves. It's paced better. There's more action in it.
Well, and you're in the Matrix.
The final battle being in Revolutions. But yeah.
Well, another bog point for me is when they get home in the beginning. God, you could cut 30 minutes out of the first hour of this movie with the whole bickering with the commander guy and having the rave prayer worship service.
Oh, that one I like. That part I like.
But then bickering about whether or not Morpheus is allowed to go back out, and the Senate scene, and it gets a little George Lucas-y in there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But you're in the Matrix more in that movie. By the Revolutions, they're spending so much time in the quote-unquote real world that I don't give a shit about. But I will say, in this movie, Neo versus Agent Smith with the green lightning and the water everywhere and the boom boom is better than any Superman fight ever put to film. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's thrilling. Shut your mouth, Barrett. I see your brain working.
I've been on record as saying that I would rather be in the Matrix than to be anywhere near Zion. Like Zion feels like this big party and everything, and it's like, oh, look at all the fun they're having, and look at how free they are, and look at but if you're in the Matrix, you don't know that you're in the Matrix. Like that was the whole point of the Joey Pants scene in the first movie. I just like enjoying steak. I know it's fake, but I just like steak.
And I want to be rich.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be important, like an actor. But like that's the thing. Like, and when we first went through all of this too, I was confused as to how Zion worked. But you said that they keep when this Matrix thing when it ends, there's a new Zion created every single time, and everything, which is still a bit confusing to me. In a way, because I don't know when the Matrix begins and when real life ends and all that.
Because the only person giving you that information is that fucking architect dictionary speaking motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, if Fishburne is correct at the beginning, is talking about how we're the ones who scorched the sky, and a lot of people think it's like 1999, but it's closer to 2099 or whatever it was that he says. There's got to be at some point where the real world, like, how do you create another Zion if Zion is not part of the Matrix? That's the thing that's always, bothered me. And maybe Dude explains that too. I just don't remember.
I don't know that he does. What he says is it will be destroyed. And so I think what happens is they literally destroy it. It becomes rubble. They pick 8 new people or 17 new people, whatever the fuck it is, to be the new Zion residents. It's going to take generations for them to build up a new Zion. And by the even if they ended up in the same place where the rubble of the old Zion was, it's going to look like Earth rubble to them, not Zion rubble.
Right.
And
so
it's start building again.
So it's like Isengard and Thor, right? Where it can be anywhere. Yes. Like our home can be anywhere. So Zion is
the people, not the place.
Right, exactly.
What did you say? Did you say Asgard?
He said Isengard.
I said Isengard. I meant Asgard.
Oh, is that a Lord of the Rings? Nice.
Yeah.
You just melded Thor and Lord of the Rings. I love it.
I did. Well, there's that time in the first Thor where he says Vanaheim, and it sounds like Anaheim. Mm-hmm. He's like, "You're all these beautiful worlds." Blah, 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 Anaheim. He's saying Vanaheim, but you can't really hear it.
Well, regardless, I strenuously object to what he does at the end, because I don't know what that means. He Jesuses himself to the machines. Machines say, okay, thank you for your service. And they turn the sentinels off. But like, what happens then? Do the pod people stay the pod people? Does everyone get woken up? Does everyone else go into the Matrix? Does Zion just like hang out while the Matrix people are still matrixing? Or like, is the Zion people, are they trying to wake more people up? And if, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like the end of this story.
Okay. Well, a lot of this is where they reached a little too far, right? Because the video game that came out after these two movies is set after the movies.
Really?
And yes, and there are rumors about Neo, and there's like, I think Morpheus dies in that game. And that there are some speculating that's why he's not in this upcoming fourth movie, is that the game is still considered canon. I haven't played it since it came out. I don't remember shit. But the game does attempt to explain some of the questions. The movies do not. And I get that that's frustrating. All the movies tell you is that the machines have agreed to end the war, and they don't tell you anything else about what that looks like.
That's a lot of motherfuckers in pods. And I don't think Zion has enough room for everybody.
Well, and the machines would claim they need those pods for energy.
It's not like they can just close them and be like, oh, we're cool, man. No.
But also, if Neo had sat there and done this legal negotiation with Babyface, like, all right, what about the pod people? You're going to let them out? Well, we need some of the pod people. We'll keep 1,000. You can have the rest of them. It would have been a boring-ass fucking scene.
It is really like a baby face, right?
It's absolutely a baby face. It's either a baby face or a Quado face.
In 2003, Keanu Reeves wasn't done. He was in Something's Gotta Give, the Diane Keaton, Jack Nicholson, old people fuck movie.
Yeah, they do.
Old people fuck? They fuck just like we do.
Just like we do.
This movie's surprisingly charming.
Yeah, it is.
I only saw it one time, and other than the sudden Diane Keaton nudity that I wasn't expecting, which is totally fine,
yes.
I was charmed by this movie.
Yeah. Keanu is playing a doctor and playing a nice. It's a minorish role, but he falls in love with Diane Keaton and her old person nudity, and wants to do things. And Jack Nicholson. So I think Diane Keaton is a writer, and Jack Nicholson wants to get up in there. God, sorry,
Jesus.
Get up in them guts.
So Jack Nicholson has always been like the guy that got the younger girls, but then he starts falling in love with Diane Keaton, and Keanu and Jack are competing for the same woman, and that's Diane Keaton. And
Whole Nine Yards is in this. Amanda Peet.
Yes,
I got it.
Pete.
I got it. And it's like a love square.
Yeah.
Even with the nudity, it's only PG-13 because it's a brief nudity.
Well, it's not even.
It's like shadowed.
Yeah, it's not like you can see a lot of anything. I don't remember too much about the movie. In fact, all these, Something's Gotta Give. It's complicated. It's all these movies just run together to me.
Something complicated has got to give.
Yeah. So I don't remember too much about that movie. On to 2005. I believe, Barrett, you saw Thumbsucker.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if I saw it or not. I do remember Keanu Reeves plays like some sort of like guru in this, or something like that.
He does. It's weird because he's an orthodontist. He's the kid's orthodontist that's been with him for a long time, because he's literally a thumbsucker, which fucks up your teeth. Mm-hmm. And he's like, are you ready to lose your thumb? And he's got to go through. This is where he says, find your spirit animal and all that stuff to help you stop sucking your thumb, because he wants to grow up. And it's really, really fun. It's got a great cast. Vince Vaughn is in this briefly. Vincent D'Onofrio is in this. Oh, and Tilda Swinton, who's going to be in the next movie that we talk about. Tilda Swinton plays Thumbsucker's mom. Who is, I think, married to Vincent D'Onofrio. It's a really good cast. Haven't seen it in a while, but I remember really liking it. Keanu's kind of gone back to Keanu style acting in this movie. He's a little bit spacey, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but, you know,
I remember it being suiting the movie's tone though, and so it's really good performance for him. 2005 also had Constantine. This is a movie that, because it was in 2005, I really wasn't ready to give this a shake. Although I think I think this is only in retrospect, because I didn't know 2005 was going to be such a garbage dump when this one came out. This came out in February, I believe. But when I watched it, I was like, "Ah, man, the effects in this movie, oh my god, they're eye gougingly bad." But I was letting that distract me from what's a pretty good story. Like, this is a really good comic book adaptation. Rachel Weisz plays twins. One of them has thrown herself off of a building for unknown reasons, and her sister is like, I know she would never commit suicide. I need you to figure out if she did or not, because I want to make sure that she goes to heaven. Because you try to commit suicide, you apparently can't go to heaven. So Keanu Reeves is trying to figure out if this indeed was real suicide, and so he has to go into the depths of hell to figure this out, and
as you do.
It's a really entertaining scene though, because she tries to get his sister to go down at one point. What happens?
Does he? I mean,
because there's a point where she goes, "Do I have to get completely naked to get in this tub, or whatever?" And he has that long pause, like,
that's not his sister though, right?
No, it's her sister.
Yeah, her sister. Right. Yeah. He goes down first to do something. I think that's the one where he tries to identify her by seeing her hospital bracelet, which she still has in hell.
Somehow in hell.
But she has to get, Rachel Weisz has to go back in later on, and it goes, that's the whole bathtub scene, because he only has to use like a little bit of water because he's done it so many times, but she has to dunk herself all the way in.
Right.
That first one where he goes down is fantastic, because he's it's pejorative, but it's meant to be a character called Midnight, played by Jaimin Hansu, helps him to get down there, and he's the arbiter of what's fair in this universe.
Right, and it's some chair that he has to. It's an old electric chair or something like that, that he has to use to go in there. But anyway, the story is really cool, and he is he's sort of this. He's bagging demons for God and everything, and he thinks that this kind of work should get him into heaven, but there's a reason why he can't get into heaven, and he's asking Tilda Swinton, who plays Gabriel. He keeps asking her, like, or it's really androgynous, so it's more of a, I would say them and they pronouns for this Gabriel character. They keep telling him that, you're fucked. You will never get into heaven. But he keeps thinking, if I keep doing this, surely God will see my side of it and everything. This whole balance thing is an interesting thing about this movie too. Just the fact that nobody can help sway the battle one way or the other. But this movie was really good. When I first watched it, didn't like it. The second time I watched it, I was like, I was being unfair to that movie.
He's really good. He has a very good acting performance. He's sick of your bullshit. He's sick of everybody's bullshit. And he smokes a bunch. He got the black lung, and like he's not afraid of these demons. In fact, he's annoyed by these demons. He even has a stare down with Satan. Played by Peter Stormare, which is fantastic. The reason to watch this movie, I mean, Rachel Weisz is fantastic, but the reason to watch this movie is his performance, which you don't always say things about that for Keanu Reeves movies.
Yeah, he's so cool in this movie. He's just so cool. it's back to his almost to the Matrix days with him on this one. Then in 2006, Richard Linklater's Scanner Darkly, using the same, I'm assuming, rotoscoped animation style that Waking Life did a couple years before this, based on the Philip K. Dick novel. And I know that it's like some sort of drug or something. I can't remember, because the opening scene is Rory Cochrane like scratching his body because he thinks there's bugs. There are bugs on him and everything. He keeps like scratching, and there's really, of course, no bugs on his body the entire time. But I haven't seen this movie in forever, and the reason why is it's hard to find on Blu-ray.
Oh, you'd think Richard Linklater would have all of his shit on Criterion Collection or something like that.
Well, I would think this would be, because this was very well received when it came out. It's got a pretty good following, and so I'm kind of surprised myself that this hasn't that this isn't easier to find. But
yeah, he's good in this. Robert Downey Jr. This is before his official comeback in Iron Man, and yeah, it works really, really well. It's Winona Ryder and Keanu back together again, and it's extremely trippy. It's not as trippy as Waking Life, which he did a few years earlier. It actually has more of a linear story. But yeah, it is very, very good. And that's weird that it's not on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. It's just that it's hard to find. It's out of print or whatever. It's one of those things.
For $700, you can have a Scanner Darkly.
When you go to Amazon, and you're like, I want a Scanner Darkly Blu-ray, and they're like, yeah, you can get it from blah 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 Unlimited for $90, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch it that much. Also in 2006. The Lake House, where he reunites with Sandra Bullock, his Speed co-star.
And he frequencies her.
Yeah, he frequencies her.
But only from a year away. I never understood why it was just a year. Like it's not long enough, or it's too long. Like it's weird.
He sends like letters. Do they both send letters? Like yes. He sends letters that go into the future, and she gets it. And then she sends letters back into the past, and it is a sort of a long distance relationship, long time relationship. I don't know what you would call this, but
he's first, right? And she's second, or is she first and he's second?
It's literally been 2006 since I've seen this movie.
Well, I'll spoil this movie because fuck it. She's the cardiologist or something like that, and he dead. He gets hit by a bus, ironically.
Yeah.
The bus that wouldn't slow down.
But if it was a bus, that would be awesome.
Oh, it would be.
He gets caught. And then she's supposed to work on him, but she doesn't for some reason. He dies. And that's the twist. And it's actually not that bad of a movie. But yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't know how this started or why and stuff.
Yeah, I can't remember much about it. I know that Family Guy had their thing where like the Keanu Reeves character sticks his penis in the mailbox, and then the Sandra Bullock character opens it up and says something like, "Oh, I didn't order year-old sausages" or something like that. Something.
Surely she'll get this.
Yeah. In 2008. So yeah, he took 2007 off essentially. Probably touring with Dogstar. You never know.
Yeah, man.
2008
bass player.
Yeah, 2008 Street Kings. David Ayers.
I remember liking this movie, but I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I think Keanu is playing the Ethan Hawke basically for Training Day in this. And everybody else they're a bunch of they're a bunch of Denzels, and it's dirty cops stealing money and stashing it in another house somewhere.
That's my favorite Justin Timberlake song. Dirty cops. dirty cops.
You reached back to the NSYNC days for that, Paul.
Is that an NSYNC song?
Their last album was Pop. Dirty Pop.
Dirty Pop.
But Forrest Whitaker's in it. You have Hugh Laurie. Chris Evans is in this movie.
Oh, wow. Isn't Cedric the Entertainer in this one?
Cedric the Entertainer, Jay Moore, Terry Crews, Naomi Harris. There's a ton of people in this movie.
I always get this confused with the Harsh Times and the end of, well, not End of Watch because that's a different style, but like that trilogy right there was almost very similar. You could get a lot of those scenes interchanged.
Oh yeah, but that's his wheelhouse, man. Is that kind of story, and that's why I had such high hopes for Bright.
Yeah, yeah. But I remember Street Kings being pretty good. I just it's been since 2008 since I've seen it. Then the remake, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Scott Derrickson did this, and this movie's just not very good. It's just not. It's a slog to get through.
It's very slow.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen the original?
No, I haven't.
No.
I think I caught some of the original one night, and it was the total opposite. It was tense. It had urgency to it. It had the first one was dealing with nukes. This one I think deals with climate change, where Klaatu was sent to see if there was basically any reason that they shouldn't like fuck the hell out of this planet. And he's like the negotiator. And in this one, it's the same thing, except it's about like, are they able to save the Earth? And somehow Jennifer Connelly's son saves the Earth by appealing to Klaatu's humanity. You'd think that Jennifer Connelly would be enough to save the world. And she's trying her best here, but Keanu is doing an intentional blank slate with this because he's not supposed to be human, but there's a lot of like, you need to let me go. And like, the Earth isn't worth it and shit like that. And it's not good.
And all like, I like turtles.
Yeah.
He doesn't say that. He doesn't say that in the movie. I lied.
We just assume that he likes turtles.
I would give it I'd give it a whole extra rating point if it did.
I agree.
But the original is known for that Klaatu Verada Nikto thing that eventually would be an Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell would say that to the Book of the Dead out in the open there. The movie was very good. I don't see anything on 2009 that I saw. 2010. I don't care about Henry's Crime. I didn't see Henry's Crime. 2012 Generation Yeah, I didn't see that either. 2013 Man of Tai Chi. I know Jeremy has seen this.
I have. It was his directorial debut.
Does he do Tai
Keanu
Chi?
Reeves. Huh?
Does he do Tai Chi?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, like Tai Chi is the slow, lugubrious movements, right? Where it's like all this and meditative and stuff. It's not an actual fighting style, is it?
I don't think you're right about that.
When you see people practicing,
it's a martial art,
but it's all slow.
But it also has health benefits and meditation. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, he directed this. It's not bad. Iko Uwais is in this.
Does he do raid shit?
No. Oh. I mean, he does some fighting, but I mean, God love him. It's Keanu Reeves' directorial debut. It's not. There's a reason that people don't bring up Man of Tai Chi when best martial arts movies are discussed. It's just okay. That's all there is to say about it.
Then he also did 47 Ronin this year. It's another movie I haven't seen.
I've seen this. This is bonkers. He's playing a half Japanese, half English guy in like early Japanese history. Mm-hmm. And there's like firebenders and like robe dragons and shit. This is a bonkers ass movie. I did not enjoy.
You didn't like any, like even 46 of the Ronin? You didn't like them? Like 12 Ronin? If it were 12 Ronin, would you be okay?
Oh, that's too bad. I would have thought you would have liked one of the Ronin.
I didn't like the Ronin.
Yeah, this was it's weird. 47 was a weird, just out of the blue number that I think the same year 47 Meters Down, or one of those. I think it was around that time 47 Meters Down came out.
Some 47 was a band.
Oh, they were awesome.
47 Meters Down was 2017, so it was 4 years away. But yeah, what a weird number to just let's have a bunch of movies have 47 in it.
Jackie Robinson.
Yeah,
47.
47. Everybody remembers. All right, everybody, it is time to talk about BetterHelp.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's fabulous. You've heard us talk about it a lot, and I will not shut up about this because I told you last time about a friend of mine that got involved with it that is doing spectacularly early on in the process. But we've also heard from other people via Twitter, via SoundCloud, via email, all over the place that have either signed up for this service at BetterHelp.com or therapy in general. And man, I cannot freaking believe how many of you have said, all right, I'm going to take this plunge. I'm going to start this off. If you haven't done this already and you feel like you need it, BetterHelp.com, HELP.com/SinCast. Here's one thing that I haven't highlighted that I need to, because I've been focused on individual counseling for myself and for proselytizing to all you people. But they've also got options for counseling for couples and counseling for teens. Now, this should not be something that you just kind of like turn your nose up at, because people with teens, you know that they are not only going through teenage bullshit right now, they're going through teenage pandemic bullshit right now. And it's tough, man. It's tough enough for me without raging hormones and hair and stuff like that.
Long and beautiful hair.
But it's very, very difficult for them. If you are having issues with your significant other, if you guys have been kind of cooped up, doing a lot of things together, even in the best of circumstances, you could maybe use some counseling. And then, of course, you have your individual counseling, which is all done on the computer. Could not be easier, folks. You go there, you get your calendar, you set up your thing, you talk, and voila.
And there are different kinds of therapy. There are different therapists with different focuses. I think a lot of people just think it's one big blanket that covers everything, but there is couples therapy, there's trauma therapy, there's all kinds of therapy. And you can choose from this massive list of licensed professionals on BetterHelp's website. Usually people close to you is the kind of people they show you first. You can use your phone, you can use a text, you can use a video chat, you can stay in your own home and get some help. And that's just an extraordinary thing that flat out didn't exist several years ago, and I definitely could have used it. And you can save a little money if you go to that link.
Jeremy, how many therapy appointments do you think you've done?
In my entire life?
Yeah, in person.
150.
How many of those have you not worn pants to?
0.
See? Another advantage to BetterHelp. I should probably cut that.
You probably should. Or just say how many of those have you worn pajamas to?
If that answer is even one, it's too many.
It's an indictment on me for sure.
Is you don't have to get in your suit and tie like Jeremy does when he goes to therapy, and like you can show up casually. You can do a chat option. You can do a text option, like Jeremy was saying. This is the easiest way that I have seen to get into counseling. Even if you're not, say, clinically depressed or clinical anxiety or anything like that, but you're having some problems. You're having trouble sleeping, having trouble communicating, a lot of anger, a lot more substance use than you're used to. This is the time to take advantage of a platform like BetterHelp that can help you in many different ways. We're not going to stop talking about it because we love it. So go to betterhelp.com/SinCast. Get 10% off your first month and use it. When you sign up, use it. Don't just let it sit on your tabs, you want to engage in the process, BetterHelp.com/SinCast has our stamp of approval. Do it now.
I didn't see Extreme Pursuit in 2013.
No.
Sounds
That
like
sounds like a Jeremy movie, though.
sounds like
It's a short.
Extreme Measures or Desperate Measures or Extraordinary.
Yeah, it's a short, 16-minute short. Then he goes off and does John Wick in 2014, and that is definitely his comeback. Remember, at this point, he hasn't had a major hit
Since the Matrix movies.
I think it's the Matrix movies. I mean, Constantine was a mild hit, but yeah, John Wick is definitely him being back, and they even have that line, I'm thinking I'm back and everything. It really sort of is a double meaning for not only his character but his own career in that, because he definitely resurrected his career with this. This movie, when it came out, was a decent hit, but then just like something like Bourne Identity, it like had this huge video following, and they made the sequel, and then suddenly this is like real blockbuster territory that they've gotten into.
I used to think Matt Damon was kind of a Streisand, but he's rocking the shit in this.
He really is. Keanu is rocking the shit, and I actually just caught a little bit of John Wick, the first one, and I really want to go back and watch 2 again because I just didn't like 2, but the first one, man, is just a fucking blast. It's not the blast that 3 is. I think 3, they decided we know the formula now. We're going to shift it into high gear. But in 1, you haven't seen anything like this really before, especially in the States. And the stunt director directed all of these, right? But Keanu helped, co-directed the first one. Do you guys know this?
Yeah, so Chad Stahelski is the credited director.
Okay, he's the stunt coordinator that worked on The Matrix.
Yes, he was. He did stunts on that. And then there's David Leitch is an uncredited director on this, and he would go on to do Atomic Blonde.
Nice.
Deadpool 2?
And I think so. I think that's right. Oh, and he did Hobbs and Shaw. What about that?
What about that?
What about that?
Yeah. So, yeah, he did those. And then Stahelski, let me see what he did. Did he direct any more of these? Because I think they've continued that. Yeah, he did 2 and 3. So Stahelski did all these. So, yeah.
And it's great. I mean, what a great idea. It's a simple premise. Wife dies, clearing the way for any other baggage except for the dog. Kill the dog. Alfie No Dick from Game of Thrones. He kills the dog, and then off he goes to get revenge. And the gunplay.
You have to clarify, sir. There are many no-dicked characters in Game of Thrones.
I was just about to say that.
I know who you're talking about, though. It's the Greyjoy.
Theon Greyjoy. Yeah. And the cool thing about this movie, as opposed to the Raid movies, and you can't really compare these apples to apples, is because of all the guns. The Raid movies are basic hand-to-hand fighting with some knives thrown in, by and large, all the way through. This is almost all gunfighting, and gunfighting in ingenious ways, like holding a gun that you just shot a dude through the head, holding his head, holding the gun, and shooting the guy behind him and shit like that. Yeah. And just the use of hand-to-hand combat with guns, especially that scene in the nightclub where he's going to meet Ian McShane. It was something. It's just an absolute fucking blast.
Well, they reused stunt people in like this. They used every bit that they had, right? They left it all out there. So in a couple of these scenes, one of the first people he knocks down, once the camera pans, gets up, runs around, and he's like the 7th guy he knocks down later. Mm-hmm. And as the movies have grown in budget and don't have to do that, so has their imagination grown in what they can do with the action and the budget that they now have. But this first movie was, should get a lot of credit for the kind of shoestring shit they did that nobody noticed.
Mm-hmm.
You get the sense that Keanu Reeves is kind of like Neo in real life, because the whole like ability to download, being able to fly a helicopter and all that stuff. He's done that over the years because he's done so many different movies where it required him to learn how to ride a horse, or just like the number of things that they do in John Wick 3, where they're like, well, Keanu, do you know how to do this? Oh yeah, I've done all those things. And so he knows all this stuff, and they can put him in as the guy doing the stuff. They don't have to put a stunt person in all the time. The thing about the combat here is just that it's so mercifully, it just keeps everything in front of the camera. There's not so many edits everywhere. That's the thing about it, right? Like, even if the action is a little bit unrealistic or whatever, at least I can see what's going on, and it's done in such a nice choreographed way that I'm like, okay, this is something I'm really getting into. I really enjoy this. Other than this, man, every action scene in every movie that you watch is just cut to death, man, and too many close-ups.
Yeah. And can I say something about that? Received a couple of comments recently, specifically about Marvel movies, specifically about Jeremy's controversial tweet about Birds of Prey versus MCU movies.
So controversial.
We like a lot of the MCU movies, okay? I even love some of the MCU movies. Almost all of the action in the MCU movies is chopped to death. Chopped to death to where you don't have a sense of place, a sense of action, a sense of who's fighting who, that kind of thing. Just because we keep on with this action scene doesn't mean we're throwing the whole movie out the window, which I've seen some comments saying that we are. What we are saying is that when you do see that action play out, it makes it a wholly unique experience, and it makes it a better experience. It's like looking at a painting that's cut together in different ways and everything versus just the whole thing on the canvas right there. Both can be fine, but I prefer to see the whole thing and see where things are relative. There's my soapbox. Sorry.
Yeah. And, occasionally a Marvel movie will do something like that, and those are usually the best action scenes in the movie for me, is when they have at least one shot that lasts longer than 10 seconds.
And they will come all over their faces when they do that. They'll be like, oh yeah, how about that scene? And then they'll go back to doing the same fucking shit.
Right. Because, hey, we gave you something. Now here's where we're just filling it in with a bunch of random shots of, Thor swinging his hammer, and, this guy going oof, and then that's it.
I like the oof guy. He's my favorite.
All right, now cut to oof.
Going
Right, okay, we see Thor swing his hammer. Now we need to go to. We had 10 takes of this. Let's find the best oof on the. In 2015, he did a movie with Eli Roth called Knock Knock, and
who's there?
Boobs and butts.
Mm-hmm. Boobs and butts who?
Ana de Armas and Lorenza Izzo, who was at the time Eli Roth's wife. It's about two very beautiful women who show up at Keanu Reeves' door. His family has gone off on some sort of vacation. He's supposed to look after his wife's art or something. The art is being sold. The women show up and say, hey, we were looking for this party. We can't find the house. Can we stay here? It's raining. Then they start, well, our clothes are all so wet, so can we put them in the washer and dryer? Oh, yeah, and can we take a shower too? And, oh, by the way, can I seduce you while we're in the shower? And the answer is that the characters are played by Ana de Armas and Lorenza Izzo, so the answer is yes. They can seduce most men, probably.
Are you saying that you would fall for this? That you would know something was up, but that you would be powerless to resist it?
I would. Yes. Yeah.
I would. That's a truthful answer.
There's a probability that you think in your mind that no matter what happens, you'll be able to get out of it somehow, by the end. Because yes, it would be way too good to be true. These two women who look like Ana de Armas and Lorenza Izzo just coming in and like, oh my God, where'd my clothes go? And so, so it's that, and then they overstay their welcome. I mean, he's of course resistant at first, but then he falls prey to it, and then they stay longer and they're ruining the house. They're even getting close to ruining the art. I think they do ruin the art. He sends them away and he thinks that's it, but no, it's not it. It never is it.
They knock and then they knock again.
Knock again. There's 2 knocks there. This is a hilariously bad Keanu Reeves performance.
Yep.
This is one of the funniest bad performances of all time. And during the first time we went through this, I think we went full on to the end of this movie, but like there's a point where he's getting buried in the backyard or something to his neck, and he's like sitting there yelling at him, and he says "fuck" about 500,000.
Oh my God.
And they're like goading him because, hey, how dare you like cheat on your wife with us and everything, and we did this all because it's like how many men how many men we've done this with, like 10 other guys, and nobody's ever said no to us. Yeah, of course not.
I have to watch this movie.
This is as wreck-a-warny as it gets. It's not good. It's warny as it gets, but this is the kind of warn that makes people want to go watch it because he's bad, and it's so bad. They, he's like, you tried to seduce me. You're the one who tried to
fuck you.
So yeah, not very good, but it's got its.
Oh, it's on Prime. I'm watching that tonight, baby.
Oh my God.
You should watch it.
I'm pulling it up right now. Oh geez, no, stop. Okay.
Then he did a movie that I warned many ages ago called Exposed. This reunited Keanu Reeves and with Ana de Armas, and this is a movie where Ana de Armas goes down into a subway and sees like this white ghostly figure. The next day we're told that something happened. Somebody got murdered in that subway, and we don't know exactly what happened. And by the end of it, I think I spoiled this movie when I warned it back in the day, but the whole white ghost floating over the tracks was just a defense mechanism because she's getting raped in the subway, and she is thinking of this as a defense mechanism, and she actually kills the guy who is raping her, and that's why there is a murder being investigated by Keanu Reeves, who's a cop in the movie. 2016, he was also the voice of Keanu, the cat in Keanu.
Hey, that's some stunt casting right there.
Yeah. The story that I've heard about this movie is that they named the movie Keanu before John Wick even came out. And so there's like similar things here where somebody's cat's stolen and he has to go get the cat and everything. And they called the cat Keanu. So everybody thought this was sort of a play on John Wick and how John Wick is getting revenge on whoever killed his dog and all that. But apparently that wasn't the case. They wrote this before that. But Keanu is a frustrating movie with the talent involved. Key and Peele are in this, and they're charming. They have to. I think it's Peele that gets a cat, and then the cat gets like stolen when their drug dealer buddy has a visit from gangsters, and then they go off to try to find the cat, and they have to pose as gangsters to try to get the cat back. So they have to act hard when they're not hard. And there's a scene I
have to do that a lot.
Yeah, right. But there's a scene in there where Key is is with a couple of gangster guys in the van while Peele goes into Anna Faris's house. And Anna Faris is playing herself in this. She's playing a drug-addled version of herself. And so there's a lot of little in-jokes in that scene and everything. But they're trying to sell drugs to her while Key is in the van. And Key is playing George Michael tunes to the gangster guys. And he has to prove to them, like, because they're like, why do you have that kind of crap on your phone? He's like, well, George Michael was the hardest it ever got. Let me tell you about his life. His father left him, and blah blah blah. And so they he turns them around. But yeah, the movie's got mild laughs. It just feels like it should be a lot funnier, more fun. And I guess Keanu Reeves plays the occasional meow of the cat in Keanu.
Oh, there's not even like a talking version of the cat, like he just says meow.
Sure, it's just meow, kind of like who was it?
George Clooney?
Yeah, Clooney.
He was the Yippee, the barking dog.
Right. 2016, also the Neon Demon. I don't actually remember Keanu Reeves in this movie. I haven't seen this movie in a while, but this is Nicholas Winding Refn. I remember this movie being like it's just as what the fuck as a lot of his movies are, but I actually remember just getting sort of like I just got involved with this movie in some way. It's not great or anything, but it's something about it puts you in a mood. I don't know what it is.
I was wanting to watch it. This is not. What is the Tom Ford movie that came out right after this that has a similar aesthetic? Do you know what I'm talking about?
He directed A Single Man, Nocturnal Animals.
Nocturnal Animals was the one that I was thinking about. Yeah, so I don't know. So you remember liking or being attracted to the Neon Demon?
Yeah, I mean it's I mean like I said, it's not great or anything. It's just that it's a movie that appealed to me for some reason. It's just an unusual film. And Elle Fanning in it plays a model who's very naive at first, has a bunch of other models who think that they're better than her, and then she herself starts getting breaks where she becomes that type of model by the end of the movie. She becomes the one that looks down on everybody else and everything. But I don't remember much about this movie. I don't remember Keanu Reeves in it. And I'm sure he's probably in it for like an hour. I just don't remember him that much. Neon Demon is. I would warn that movie probably. Anything else in 2016 that you guys have seen?
No.
2017, we've discussed John Wick Chapter 2.
2 is the one where they really like expand the assassin universe, right? Where they go into more detail about the hotel. I think Ruby Rose shows up in that one. There's too much world building for me in this one.
Let me tell you what I remember from 2. Very early on in 2, a very fast car hits Keanu Reeves in the knees, and he walks and fights and kicks for the rest of the movie. And I really, really hated that. It really bothered me. That was a Fast and Furious moment.
Doesn't the sin go that way? Like, I'm trying to remember if that's how the sin was written. Like, Keanu Reeves gets hit in the knees and he fights and kicks for the rest of the movie.
So something like that. Yeah, that's some bullshit, man.
we just read 2018 Siberia. I haven't seen that movie. Destination Wedding. There you go.
Oof.
Seen this.
God damn. I don't know how you don't like. They had more chemistry between Keanu and Winona Ryder in Dracula than they do in this movie. And I think they're seriously they're in. One of them is in every scene of this movie, and it's very play like. They run into each other at the airport going to the destination. His brother is getting married, and she is like the groom's ex-girlfriend or something like that. It's so preposterous, and their acting is wooden. They're given traits. It's like bad community theater from two established actors, and I don't understand why they do it. The only amusing thing is like a very unsensual fucking scene in the middle of like a wheat field. And Winona Ryder asks Keanu Reeves to ejaculate inside of her, so that, and she says, if you say "oh boy" when it happens, it becomes a boy.
Wow,
and that's the kind of thing that happens in this movie. Yes, it's bad. It's bad.
All right.
I don't know why I did this for ejaculate.
I don't either.
Because your dick is 3 feet long. That's why.
It's like I'm holding the thing in the American Gothic painting.
Yeah, you got to go up that high to get to the tip when your dick is that long.
So true.
The tip is where all the action is, baby.
But what's weird is that you're standing, so that means there's like a U shape somewhere that's making it allow.
Seriously, like he goes to the right pretty hard there. It looks like.
The next movie, I know that
it's like I'm holding up a fish that I've caught.
Yeah, that's true. There are many pictures of you next to your dick. The next one I know Jeremy has seen, Replicas.
Ooh. Let's just agree, if you're a scientist and your family dies, don't try and clone them. That's not ever going to go well. I think there have already been movies that have covered this. I saw this movie. I regretted it. I would rather watch Surrogates with Bruce Willis. And honestly, that movie's pretty shitty. And he's barely trying in that movie. Yeah, scientist guy working on android body clone bullshit. His wife and kids die. He tries to clone them, and they're not quite right, are they? No. And you're going to be bored. Promise.
Are they not right, or is he not right? Like
they're not right.
They're not right.
Well, I think he's pretty fucked up in the head too, but he's not a clone.
So it's not fun. It's not actiony. It's not good.
You sound like you might as well just watch it. But no, I'm going to
watch Knock Knock.
There you go. There you go.
Definitely high on the list. 2019, we've talked about John Wick Chapter 3, but, briefly touching on that, to one of the funnest experiences I've ever had in the theater, and we've talked about that before. But John Wick 3 is just such pure joy all the way through it. Just the ideas they have in there, just the inspired stuff that goes on through Chapter 3 is excellent.
Are they making another one of these?
John Wick?
Yeah.
Certainly are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's coming out, I think that this is currently, the pandemic happened, but prior to the pandemic, it was scheduled to come out the same weekend as Matrix 4. Because
really?
I was trying to tell people that I thought Matrix 4 would beat its ass, and then people told me I was crazy, and I said, well, you're only looking at the last 10 years of film, and I'm looking at history as a whole. There will be great appetite for a fourth Matrix movie, whereas John Wick 4 will do great.
Yeah,
will do great.
Currently, the Matrix 4 is expected on the IMDb April 1st, 2022, and John Wick Chapter 4 is expected May 27th, 2022.
So that's like a few days away.
Exactly. And of course, also on his upcoming projects, he has a movie called Cyberpunk 2077 that's supposed to come out this year.
I've heard about that, and it looks very cool.
And
it's a video game, right?
He wants is it a video game?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And once again, he's playing a character named Johnny Silverhand.
Johnny Silverhand. Man, that's what my college ex-girlfriend used to call me.
Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you masturbate too much. Then we go on to...
Son, you're going to get Silverhand.
You're going to get that Silverhand, man. Always Be My Maybe. Both Barrett and I have seen this. He has a little bit more than a cameo. I guess this is a cameo, but he is fucking hilarious in this.
He's great.
Fucking hilarious.
He's great. Comes in the restaurant. You don't know. Like I said maybe before, I had no idea who the crush was, because Ali Wong talks up her new boyfriend to her, Randall Park, her long ago boyfriend, And she's like, the guy's perfect. I don't even know if she mentions that he's famous, but that he's in the business or something. She's a celebrity chef. And then in walks, which I hadn't seen, in walks Keanu Reeves. And I'm like, oh, that's inspired bit of stunt casting. And he plays off of every little thing that he's ever done, to where even where he's playing off like how kind and how wonderful everybody thinks he is, but he's really not all the way. Like he keeps subtly insulting Randall Park throughout the whole time, and eventually not getting into a fight with Randall Park, because he's like, isn't he? When they get back to the hotel, he's like, I want you to take this vase and smash it over my head.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to do that. So Keanu grabs it and smashes it over his head, and he starts bleeding everywhere.
That dinner is hilarious. When Randall Park is worried because the meal is so expensive that he won't be able to afford it. But then Keanu Reeves shows up later at the bar, and he's like, don't worry about it. I already paid for it with one of my residual checks from a movie called Speed.
That whole meal is hilarious.
Yeah.
They do so the conceit is playing with time, the prefix menu. And then like they get to a dish where it's like a steak, but the audio, which you have headphones, plays the sound of like an elk dying or something like that. And so he puts this on, and Keanu's like, I'm sorry. Takes him up and then starts eating.
So good.
I need to watch this movie.
It's really
hilarious. Funny. This movie's great.
Also in 2019, he voiced Kaboom in Toy Story 4, Canadian version of like an Evel Knievel type toy. And I guess his character arc is that he was a toy that advertised himself as, they advertised his toy as something that could do all these cool and sick jumps and everything. But when kids actually got him, they couldn't do those jumps that were on TV. So he became a toy that nobody ever played with. But he plays, of course, in this movie, he has to make a huge jump at the carnival, because every movie in 2019 ended at a carnival at some point. And he has to make a huge jump to help save the day in that. Toy Story 4, gorgeous movie. We've talked about how, debated on whether or not these movies even needed to go this far. They all have different levels of like growing up and everything that they explore in those movies. But Toy Story 4 is gorgeous. It's just I still prefer the first one over all of them. Then Between Two Ferns, the movie. I know Barrett and I have both seen this.
Yeah, I like this movie. I thought there was a little more expansion on his character. I understand not liking his character in the Between Two Ferns stuff, the shorts. I always found them funny. I don't like cringe humor, but for some reason that always hit with me. Because I tell you why. Because I'm okay with cringe humor if the subject is okay with it. And it seemed like in those shorts, whether it was Charlize Theron, whether it was Matthew McConaughey or whoever, would give it right back to Zach Galifianakis, even Obama. He would ask these terrible questions, and they would just light into him. Like Bruce Willis, he was like, what's it like being so bald? And it's something like that. And he's like, you're a fucking talentless fucking like fat ass hack or something like that. And then he'll say something smarmy. But that's why I thought this was fun, because it wasn't it wasn't punching down, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then finally, out of this whole group, rounding it out, I think I'm the only one that has seen Bill and Ted Face the Music in this group. But I did a mini pod with Jonathan on this one. It's so weird watching movies that are 30 years ahead of where they were when they left off. I've tried describing this, where movies themselves, the way they are made, have changed. so much that the next chapter doesn't even feel part of the series at all. And Alex Winter is still Bill. I mean, it's there wasn't anything really much to that character, I don't think. Keanu Reeves is it's hard for a character who's playing this like, whoa, surfer dude and whatever, to play that at 50 something years old. But he's completely changed and mellowed at this point. Doesn't even seem like he's got like any real Ted still left in him. And so like the movie is great when it's not them on the screen. And I hate saying that. It's fun to watch Samara Weaving and what's her name? Bridget Lundy Payne play Bill and Ted's kids in this. They're like fun, and Kid Cudi is fun in it, and Kristen Schaal and Anthony Kerrigan from Barry is in this playing like a Terminator robot thing. He steals a lot of scenes. When it's them, when it's all those guys, it's great. And then Bill and Ted keep going like, I never understand this. How is it in the future they don't know what the fucking song is that they made? How do they not know that? like their society is built on this fucking song.
Yeah, man.
How do they not know what the song is? How do they lose that? And so Bill and Ted like go back in time, and they keep seeing different versions of themselves that are just, I mean, they're silly and ridiculous and all that, and it's fun, quote unquote. But they're just not believable. Like they're just total assholes when they run into their past / future selves. It's hard to describe that. Looking for this song so that they can save time and space, basically, because time and space is about to collapse on itself. Eiffel Tower is showing up in L.A. and Tibetan monks are showing up on the freeway and crap like that. Stuff like just weird stuff is happening, but it's a silly movie. It's fun. I don't know. Keanu Reeves is fine in it. It's just not, it doesn't feel like Ted to me in this, but
I'll watch it at some point. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it, but
hey, look, it's just as silly as the other two movies are. You'll probably have a decent time watching it. Yeah. It's just, it's one of those movies that came out and it seems like everybody jumped on like, shit. Finally, look, so this is the greatest thing ever, isn't it? And I think a lot of times nowadays where the stars have never been closer to critics, and through Twitter and everything, like people know the people who made these movies, and they're like, oh, that guy's a good guy. Look at him up there. That's so great that what he's doing. And it doesn't translate for me. I think it's a silly movie. It's just, it's all right. It's good. Fine. It's not like the best thing ever or anything. But that rounds out the Keanu Reeves filmography.
The Keanu-verse.
That's correct. That's going to do it for this episode. Keep going to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins on Facebook. We're also on Cinemasins Twitter, Music Video Sins Twitter. We're on SoundCloud, and we're on Discord. If you want to get on Discord, you can go to our Reddit page and find a link on the right side there, or you can private message me on Facebook, and I'll give you a link there. That's going to do it for this week. It's Chris Atkinson, Jeremy Scott, and Barrett Scherer. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Hey, fuckos.
What's up, jerkface?
What's up, fan?
I like how you gave us names from my favorite Tarantino movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's grown on you, though, hasn't it?
A little bit, yes. But I don't think I'm ever going to see... Yes, it has grown on me. I will leave it at that.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. Every time I watch it again, though, I'm just blown away by those two lead performances.
Yeah, they're both great. They're both great.
And they get even more indelible. Especially Pitt, man. Pitt was, you never see such a shoe-in for an Academy Award as Pitt was, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, he probably just knew it. He was just like halfway walking up there when they called it.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think Clooney has 2.
Well, one's for writing, I think.
Yeah, is it Good Luck, Good Night, and Good Luck?
Good night and good fuck.
I have to look this up because there was that period of time there where he was nominated for so many different things, and like it's usually the dumb shit that gets the win.
Didn't he get nominated or win for 12 Years a Slave because he was a producer?
I'm looking that up.
That was Pitt.
No, he won for Argo, being a producer on Argo. George Clooney.
What a weird
thing.
Oh,
I thought we were talking about Pitt. Sorry.
And his performance by an actor in a supporting role went to Syriana, which nobody remembers.
No.
I remember he had a beard.
What was that movie about? I don't know. Something about the Middle East.
Yeah, and a beard. He had a beard.
Yeah,
and there was no staring at goats.
Yeah, there was no staring at goats. Right.
I kind of like that movie.
The goat one.
That was a little wacky.
Which
little
one?
wackadoodle. The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yeah, I never saw it.
I always get this mixed up. Is it Brad Pitt that's the guy in Prince of Egypt? The lead voice. Brad Pitt was a fucking lead voice in one of these movies, wasn't he? I could have sworn it was Hercules, but it's fucking.
But I thought he was in that Sinbad thing. That was his animated voice.
Prince of Egypt. You mean Moses?
Val Kilmer and Ray Fiennes were the main voices in Prince of Egypt.
Right. And then in the live action later, it was Christian Bale and I forget. Other dude.
Oh yeah, I can't remember either. But Sinbad: Legend of the Seven Seas came out in 2003. It had Brad Pitt and Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michelle Pfeiffer, Joseph Fiennes showing up.
Oh, I'm just saying, like all of these white protagonists are drawn the same, like chiseled chin and like huge pecs and all that stuff. So I was like, who's the guy that does Hercules?
Tate Donovan.
What? Out of nowhere, Tate Donovan, fresh off of his Love Potion number 9.
Exactly. That's when they were picking shit out of thin air, like Rip Torn as Zeus instead of Anthony Hopkins or something like that.
Well, it didn't matter, right? Did you know who the voice actor for Belle was when Beauty and the Beast came out?
Nope.
There was some big deal about that in the 90s, though. Like in Toy Story, they couldn't even advertise that Tom Hanks and Tim Allen were the voices in that.
Really?
There was some sort of contractual thing back in the 90s where they couldn't say, well, maybe they did later. I don't know. But there was this whole thing where it was like they couldn't say Tom Hanks or Tim Allen or anybody in the trailer. And then, I think they were still going off, possibly, the fact that people who do voices are the ones who do voices, which is something that became a major problem when stars became the voices of everything. Like people who were voice actors were like, I used to be the guy who got that lead role because it didn't matter. You weren't selling your movie based on the fact that it was Brad Pitt. You were selling the movie based on it being something good that kids want to come see.
I think even today there are voice workers that are pissed because, the Simply Juice hires Donald Sutherland instead of a voice actor.
They can't get anything. Like the only thing somebody with a great voice like Dicer can get is a Lowe's how-to video. I'm not belittling that. I'm just saying that he should be on more commercials. He should be on more GMC or whatever it is.
It's not. The stars have taken over that market to a certain degree, to where they're never going to hire Brad Pitt to do a grocery training video or something.
That would be awesome.
But, they're paying him big ass money to do GPS directions in your fucking map device.
Oh really?
Yeah. There's one with
a Brad
Samuel
Pitt voice.
I just read. I swear to God, I read that you can get Samuel L. Jackson on one of them, and he's will cuss at you like turn now, motherfucker. Like, I swear to God, there are stars recording GPS instructions.
I think that might be worth the investment. I think that would be.
How often do you use an audio directions
All the
GPS?
Time. All
Really?
the time. Oh, yeah. I mean, I rarely go to one place all the time, except for like the grocery store.
Well,
so if I go out to like a pumpkin festival or something like that, or when we went to that drive-in movie, I totally just put on the GPS and it tells me where to go. And if Samuel L. Jackson would be like, motherfucker, turn right.
And then,
Like, yes.
And I even know where I'm going sometimes. And
Yeah, because it tells you where the traffic
tells you when
is.
there's going to be traffic backups and all that, and so it's a pretty useful thing that way too.
Okay, so I may have it a little bit wrong there. It looks like Amazon Alexa devices feature Samuel L. Jackson's voice at this point. Not
My parents have one of those. Oh, the devices that go in the car, or the devices, or just any of them?
I think any of them.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know if I'll change that. I like hearing a woman's voice. I like women doing my bidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Do you ever thank your Echo? You ever thank him? You ever thank?
I did.
Thank
I did
the
once.
Alexa?
I did.
Did
I
she
did
respond
once.
to you?
Yeah. It happened like 2 weeks ago. In fact, there was something. I can't remember why I did it either. It was something where I was just like, "Fuck it," I'm just in this kind of a mood. And Alexa gave me some, told a story or some shit. I don't know what it was. And I was like, "Thank you," and she's like, "Oh, well, you're welcome. It's you're so kind. You're so
The AI, man, it's gonna get more and more complex.
Well, and today, sometimes I will have Alexa say, "Hey, give me the news," and it'll immediately put an NPR thing on there. But today, I was like, "This is here's where the start where it starts getting scary and shit." It was like, I asked for the news like I always did, and she's like, "I don't seem to have an NPR station next to you. What's your zip code?" And I'm like, "Oh, god damn it. Are you kidding me?" Yeah. So I put in, as I said, my zip code, and then she gave me NPR from Nashville. But this is nothing that she hasn't done before. Calling her she. This is nothing that this thing hasn't done before. I've said, "Hey, give me the news," and it just immediately gives me an NPR Nashville.
Yeah,
but now it's like, "What's your zip code?" And I'm like, "Okay,
I'm coming for you."
I mean, it's not like you don't know.
Bitch, you've done this before. You do it every day.
Yeah.
And I don't know where sex doll technology is these days, but if you could get, follow me on this, if you could get a pretty good sex doll, right?
Yeah.
And hook it up and just screw in the Echo.
Yeah, right.
You could have essentially a functional conversation, right?
Mm-hmm. You could.
You could probably say,
you
what
talk
do you
sexy
want?
to it?
All right. Yeah. You'd be like,
you have to find the coded
Alexa,
language.
Play sex sounds or something like that. She'll be like,
Yeah, exactly. It comes preloaded with hundreds of sex sounds.
You'd be like, play Marvin Gaye, and you start hearing Marvin Gaye coming out of her mouth.
Oh my god!
Make sucking noises.
Yeah.
Oh
exactly.
my god!
Squelch. With squelch. I was about to say the squelching.
Squelch for me, Alexa.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what that term is.
Make sucking noises. Don't know what that term is. And then at the end, you thank her, and you're like, "Oh, you're so kind.
You're so kind, sir."
If you said, it'd be awesome if you said squelching, and she's like, "I have 100 articles on Booksmart." I can do it as if a Commodore 64 is coming up with the noise.
Would you like the squelching rapid or slow? Man, I kind of want to try this out. I want to see what it will do.
All right, we'll order the sex doll tomorrow.
Yes, sex doll is the first step.
Well, no, the first step is to figure out what she will do, and then you add the body.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out, it may be like Scarlett Johansson, or her, where you don't even need the body.
Maybe not.
Yesterday, I was watching a little bit of Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, you were.
In honor of Barrett. And my wife walks in right as all the women drop their black robes at the start of the Yeah, and she's like, we're having a conversation, and she just stops talking, and I realize she's looking at the screen. She's like, what is this? And I was like, this is Eyes Wide Shut, and it's the beginning of the famous orgy party scene. But later on, what Tom Cruise doesn't know is that they know he used last week's password, and they're going to embarrass him in front of everybody later on. She's like, oh, shameful. And we walked out to go do the thing she came and talked to me about. I think we went and, I don't know, had a sandwich, something. I helped her move a desk. I don't remember what it was, but I came back in a few minutes later, and he was there with his mask off getting shamed. And I was like, oh, you fucked up now. And she walked by, and she goes, you talking to Tom? And I said, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the unedited version, Chris?
Yeah, I've got that on Blu-ray. That's the version that they sell, I think, at this point. They don't even.
What is extra there?
I mean, they don't have because in the original, it's a bunch of people standing in front of everybody who's having sex. That's how they blocked it off.
Oh,
it looks totally normal when you watch it in the movie, but those were all digitally inserted.
So you can see more of the sex.
Yeah, and back in 1999, I was sitting there going, I think Kubrick went back and looked at movies like Basic Instinct and Showgirls to see what you could put on a screen so that he didn't cross that line. And
right.
And the sex scenes that are in that are not worse than Basic Instinct or Showgirls. I mean, they may be going at it a little bit harder. I don't know. Basic Instinct and Showgirls, really hard.
Go back to that. That was good.
I mean, it's not like you're seeing penis going in.
Yeah, because there used to be somebody right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's not even close to the Virginia.
Yeah,
Look, they're just...
Yeah, the edited version has one of these, these masked people in front of it, looking really closely at it.
Let's see. Yeah, they're just rubbing her, sternum.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you suppose they let him watch all of this shit before they call him out?
I think they know they've got him. There's no rush.
But then later they're like, you breathe a word of this to anyone of what you saw, and we'll come for you and your family. Just don't let him see it. Right? Just like the two guys out at the road, they're the ones that know he's got the wrong password.
Well, no,
I don't think he has the wrong password.
No, he has the right password to get in.
Right.
To the party. It's the other password that he doesn't have. Inside the party, he doesn't have that one. Fidelio is the way to get in.
Right, and I think it's been a while since I watched this, but it's like they're tricking him. There is no second password, or Fidelio was a password for the inner circle thing last week or something like that. They just want him to get off the mask.
But I think they know it. I think they know it's somebody different just by how he's interacting with the other woman inside the party.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's the who's obviously Sidney Pollack that turns around and nods to him and everything.
Yeah. So there's some point at where they're like, we think this guy is not one of us, so let's trick him. And if he says, well, there isn't a second password, everybody fucking knows that, then he's
cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's he's having an affair with her. She's like a woman of the red lamp.
Yeah.
We're definitely using our time wisely today.
When you said how many therapy sessions have you been to, Jeremy? I immediately thought of the scene in There's Something About Mary where they ask him about the hitchhikers, and he's like, hitchhikers? My whole life? I don't know, 15, 20.
Like, God damn, this guy's a
You're gonna fry. You're gonna fry.
That sounds exactly like the end of Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, like a Patronus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I grow more bear like every day. He's walking away. I think he's throwing up.
Yeah, it's okay to criticize Harry Potter movies these days. Oh God!
Nice. There's no one's looking at your face. You don't have to make that face.
And we're definitely not putting that shit in the fucking podcast. That definitely won't happen. Wink, wink.
How much am I going to have to cut from this fucking episode?
A lot.